but it's a special day, and the Shulchan Aruch says Yisro Chag Ba'avos Matkanos HaMizbeach, that Yisro Chag, a person that brings an extra Suda, Marbing Tzas, Ba'achila V'Shtia, brought in Shulchan Aruch, that's Ad Kanos HaMizbeach. It's like you brought a korban to the Mizbeach. What could be a better way?
Another Suda.
Atazai? Sosam V'Simcha brings a Suda.
All of Brochos should be.
So the Rebbe said that every single Yisro Chag, it's at the end, the minhag is on the 70, there should be a Mishna Tora, and they should have Rosh Yeshivas that would come and give over the Chidushim B'Torah. That's a way to finish the Yom Tov. All Shalosh Regalim is on the 70, Kayadua. This is minhag is going more than 50 years. There's a big Mishna Tora. The Rebbe would always, at the Shabbos or the Fabrengen, or usually the Ilas Achag sort of Fabrengen, the Rebbe would always give over something, a shtickle Torah. The Rebbe would say that they can expand on it in the Mishna Tora. A lot of the nice pilpulim or things from the Rebbe were Lakovid, the Mishna Tora. Today there's an extra thing, which is we're starting to learn Rambam. Just signed the Rambam Shabbos, and now we're doing the Hakdama, the Mitzvah Saseh, the Mitzvah Loitas, and a breakdown of the entire Rambam. Tomorrow we're starting Yesod with the Chochmah. So B'meila, I figured tonight we'll do both. We'll learn a shtickle of the Hakdamas Rambam. Those that are learning Rambam, 3 prokim, presumably already did it, unless they're a little behind. Already had gone through the Hakdama. Very important Hakdama. I saw recently on the market there was a sefer Oides Rambam from Rabbi Weinberg Rosh Yeshiva Ner Yisrael, an entire sefer of 300 pages, shiurim that he gave on this Hakdama. And the Hakdama is not more than 2 pages.
Whoa.
Shiurim that he gave on the Hakdamas Rambam. He thought it was like, okay, so it's very geschmack. And in the 35 minutes we have now, we're not going to learn the entire Hakdama. We're not going to learn shtickle. A person has to learn it themselves. Even though when you read it every year. If you learn Rambam, for me it's the 35th time I'm reading this Hakdama. Every year something new comes out when you read the Hakdama. If you just read it for 5 minutes, it gives you a different perspective on the Masorah and Torah Shebeksav and Torah Shebal Peh. It's kedai to read it, even if you're not going to learn the whole Rambam. It's kedai every year to start with the Hakdamas Rambam. If you get lost somewhere in Yesod HaTorah or Echvezas and those heavy prokim and Hilchos Shabbos, nicht gefährlich. But the Hakdamas Rambam is very sweet. The Rambam goes through all the 40 generations. From Moshe Rabbeinu, Yeshua goes down all the way to the Rashi. He does it in 2 ways, going up all the way down, and then he goes backwards. And it's just, and the chidushim in every words, as I said, you don't have to be a Goan Otzim. You read it every year for 5 minutes. Every year you'll see something that will jump out at you. It's Yesod HaYesodis. Really, it forgives you. I hope there's a translation. Yeah. Why would there not be a translation?
There is one here. The introduction to the Rambam.
In Hebrew it's Hakdama.
Hakdama.
In English we'll say Hakdama.
So we're going to do the Hakdamas Rambam. This will serve as a Siyam Rambam for Beis Menachem Mendel, and we're also going to Mitzvah Shem, based on this Hakdamas Rambam, discuss something which I think is a very important thing, which is sometimes confusing, and Yesodis Dik Machlokas Rishonim, which have many nafkaminas. Before we tonight, there's a siyum. Our siyum is a chelik from that siyum. At least 5 brochos that I know of. There seems to be a contentious thing here between the Rishonim. Where I have here the copies. We're going to get to it soon in the stack of stuff. Mesimem Mem Vav, the Shulchan Aruch, the Machloikis, the Mechaber, and the Ramah. Do you say the brocha Anoisen Loyoyev Koyach? You say that bracha in the morning?
Yeah.
So the Beis Yosef said not to say it. Why? So I looked in the entire Shas, I hadn't found it once. Something's not in the Shas we don't do. They brought in Sforim that Besoif Yom the Beis Yosef had Charota, but in the Shulchan Aruch it says not to say it. The Ramah says our minhag is to say it. Bottom line that the Beis Yosef says, not in the Shas, not for us. If it's in the Shas, it's for us. Not for the Shas, Nicht für uns jederlach. Okay, there are those that do say it, that are most to say it. I think the Sfardim are allowed to say it because it's brought in Sfardim that the Beis Yosef B'Seif Yomos was Chayzer, but he didn't change it in the Shulchan Aruch. Why should you say it?
Because the Arizal.
Oh, so one reason is that the Arizal said to say it. It was Nigla to the Arizal. From heaven they came to Arizal, they told Arizal. He had direct channels to heaven. Oh. so already the Rebbe Zayda has a whole thing that really there is a Remes in the Shas. Why? He has a whole pilpul there, and he brings Mekoidus from Sifrei Kabbalah on this, and the Aruch HaShulchan says that Misvaras Atzmai, but it's interesting, the Rebbe Zayda Aruch HaShulchan got to the same point from different roads, but to the same, an interesting pilpul. You wouldn't think of it in your own, and if the Aruch HaShulchan and the Rebbe Zayda didn't, think of it. There's 18 brachas in the Shemona Esrei. Later came Chachamim and they said we need an extra bracha. Why? Because of the minim. The Notzrim, the early Notzrim, Rachmana Litzlan, it was a very big problem in Klal Yisrael. They were Meses Amadiach, many Yidden. So they made a special tefillah against the Malshinim. Okay. So they said like this: the 18 brachas in the morning are connected the 18 brachas of Shemona Esrei. Since the Chachmei Hashas added one, so as a reflection of that, there has to be one. Which is the one we added? Hanoisen Oyev Koyach. We need an extra Koyach against those Lamalshinim, against the weakness in Amunah. Okay. So one general thing is that basically it's from the Arizal, and now you have the Sharakoil, the Chashulchan, which explain his shita. Then you have the Bach. It must have been some Giris in the Shas. The Beis Yosef didn't have it. Someone had it. It's been lost. It's been in the Shas. You can't argue with that. It's in the Shas. It's in the Shas. The thing is, we haven't found it in the Shas. Okay, but that's what the Bach says.
And you meant one of the Mesachtas which we don't have?
No, Giris. The Mesachas Brochos, Daf Samach Hamad Aleph, you're missing it. That the Goinim that said it, they had it in their Shas. It's in the Brochos. They had it there. Daf Samach Hamad there. Secondly, you can't argue with that. But the thing is, we don't have it. Third reason is the Taz. Taz is a minig. So it's a minig. Anyway, how bad it could be to make a bracha levatola? Chazal say it's a tmura, that it's letisa shem alakech lashov. Most Rishonim agree that it's only an asmacht. It's not really. If a person stammeles says Hashem's name in vain, it's loisis Hashem alakech lashov. But if a person wants to be mishabeach, to praise the Eibishter, he says Baruch Hashem alakech malcham shaklan bidvarim. He's not drinking anything. Not supposed to, but the Rabbanon do it. But you can't call the person that he was. He wanted to praise the Rabbanon Shalom.
When Birkot HaShachar,
all the brachas on Shekinah Gdolah made, as the Gemara says in brachas Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. So, and that's what the Taz says. As you'll see soon, the Alter Rebbe says none of these three pshatim. The Alter Rebbe seems to have a different pshat, and I want to learn first the Rambam to understand what the Alter Rebbe is saying. Okay, so let's learn the Rambam. I mean, this machloikis is later in a lot of things. In other words, it seems to be the Rosh. There is a famous, and I have it in the stack here about Pidyon Aben. There's a famous machloikis. It's brought in the Rosh in several places. Mesachas Kedushin and Mesachas Bechoros, and it's in Yeridei Siman Shin Hey. As I said, we have a copy here of the Tur. That the Goinim had a beautiful bracha that they would say Pidyon Aben. The Kohen is just like by the Bris. We say Shekida Shidit Mebetam V'choik B'Sheirizom Al Kain B'Schar Zois Chai whatever Tziva Baruch Atah Hashem Koires Habris. Then you name the baby. Okay, the Goinim had a beautiful bracha similar to that bracha for Pidyon Aben. The Rosh said, nice bracha. Sorry. It's not in the Shas, we're not going to say it. So, so here you see in many places, Rabbi Amram Goam writes a Krishma. He holds that the Krishma Shalamita we say before we go to sleep. Oh, that's so others say it makes Asher Kedushanim Mitzvah Mitzvah Krishma. Others say, sorry, sir, I haven't found it in the Shas, so sorry. Let's forget about that bracha. In Simarish Tzadik Zayin Orachayim. The Beis Yosef says that Vavud Raham writes when you smell bread, coming straight out of the oven, you have to say Baruch Hashem L'Kel HaCholim. Anois Haneach Tov B'Pas. They says, sorry, sir, I haven't found it in my shas, therefore we will not say it. So that's already 4 nafkaminas. The 5th is we'll talk about soon. But and another to put on top of this, which is slightly different but not really the same, for those that say Kehela Serus and Shira Shirim. So the original minhag apparently was to make a bracha, and later generations said, "Well,
before Kohelet?
Yeah, there's make a bracha." Right. There's still very few that. I think the Gemara did hold of the bracha.
But that's in the second Sofarim, which is not necessarily from the Moraim.
So I said that I don't want to go into Kehela's thing really, because over there might be a little different. But over there's also an issue about making a bracha. So let's go into Akdamas Rambam. Nimtza Ravinim v'Rabashi. After the Rambam goes, he goes up and down and down and up the 40 generations from Moshe Rabbeinu to Ravashi in the Rambam's formulation. So Rambam summarizes. He says, Nimtza Ravinim v'Rabashi v'Chavereim Soiv Gedol L'Chacham Yisrael Matikum Torah Shebapeh. These were the end of the Yidden that were called Matike Torah Shebapeh. They're the ones that are Matike. They are quoting the Torah Shebapeh. Moshe Rabbeinu was maitik to Yeshua. Yeshua was maitik to Pinchas and the Zakanim and to Eli.
Like a copy.
Yeah, they gave over. Yeah, and not only that, goes to Gzeidos, Hitkinu Takonas, Inhurigu Minhogis. They did these 3 things. They made Gzeidos, Takonas, and Minhogis. Upashta Gzeirosam, Vatakonosam, and Negosam, B'chol Yisrael, B'chol Mekim, Moshe was saying. Their Takonas were spread through an entire world, wherever Yidden lived. But after the Beis Din of Ravashi, that he wrote the Talmud, and his son finished and sealed the Talmud, that the Yidden was spread all over the world, even more than before. And they ended up coming to corners in far islands. There was a lot of extra war in the world. The roads were clogged. Begayosis, with soldiers, with fight. Basically, perhaps this corresponds to the time of when the Roman Empire started to crumble. So when there was a Roman Empire, so there were roads, all over the world, and there were people coming from Hachal also, and there was some Yidden that lived even very far can write letters to the yeshivas in Bovel and get an answer quickly, and there was communication around the world.
Talking about Talmud Bavli?
Talking about Talmud Bavli.
Thank you.
What express mail? About a month. Express mail was a month. So okay, but there was a communication. But now there was a breakdown of communication in the world. There was a lot of wars. The Roman Empire was crumbling. So there were different little the different kingdoms that were propping up here and there, and there was no communications. So therefore, Nisma Talmud Torah, because of the wars in the world, so there was less learning of Torah. There wasn't that people that were coming into thousands and tens of thousands to the yeshivas, as it was in the days of the Talmud and the Bavel. There were Yechidim that were left over, and they heard Hashem's voice in every city, every country. They would get together. They were learning Torah. They learned Torah, and they knew the Derech HaMishpat, but they were not already on the level of Matike Torah. Every bezin that came after the Talmud, their decrees did not spread over the entire Klal Yisrael. It was local to that country. So maybe it was a very choshev bezin, and they made a very choshev takona, and say the B'Amram Goin, say the B'Hai Goin made a very choshev takona, and it spread in Bavel, in that vicinity. France, they didn't hear of it. 50 years later, they saw a tshuva. It didn't arrive. So, the Bezdin had no authority over Klal Yisrael. The Bezdin HaGodol was bottled. In other words, it had been the Bezdin HaGodol, and there was one person, the other end of the world didn't hear. It doesn't matter. Bezdin HaGodol represents the authority of Klal Yisrael. But since there is a Bezdin Shel Yechidim, so like this. If whole Klal Yisrael accepts their takana, that would be binding to Klal Yisrael. Because we find in Hilchas Mamrim and also in Hilchas Krishma that there is a concept that the authority of Bezdin comes from Klal Yisrael. Bezdin made a takana of Tfilas Ezra, and then they sent out a survey, and they realized that Loi Pashta Kakanos and Berev Klal Yisrael.
They have to be Sanhedrin, Shivim, Bezdin Gadol Shel Shivim.
No, that's what I'm explaining. If it's a Bezdin Gadol Shel Shivim, so then even if not all Klal Yisrael got the memo, we say that these people got the authority. But if it's not a Bezdin Shel Shivim, so like this, what sounds like what the rambam is saying, that if it's not Bezdin Shel Shivim, and every Jew got the memo, and they all accepted it, or Roiv Klal Yisrael accepted it, it becomes halacha. But if a Bezdin, what's called here Bezdin Shel Medina, Shel Yechidim, a very choshev Bezdin got up in America, everyone in America accepts this Bezdin, but the whole world didn't accept it. So then it does not binding to the whole world.
After, that was misunderstood, after Ravina and Ravashi closed the Talmud Bavli, is that coincidence that was the end and it continued, or by coincidence that just when the war everything just, I thought because they closed it, there was automatic, they were last to put it together and that was it.
No, that's not what the rambam says.
That's how he's saying, yeah.
That's not what he's saying.
He's saying they closed it, and also this episode in our history took place.
Right.
And that's why it happened.
Right.
When Talmud Yerushalmi came.
The Rambam says earlier in the Akdama, Talmud Yisham was sealed Bekiruv to 300 years of the Churban Beis HaMikdash, and Talmud Bavli was sealed Bekiruv to 400 years after the Yerushalmi was sealed, about 100 years earlier than the Bavli. That's what the Rambam writes. Lefikach, the second line from the top, Ein koifim anshe medina zulina keminig medina acheres. We can't force the people of this Medina to do what the other Medina did. We can't tell this Bezdin from this country to do what the other. If the Maram Rottenberg felt one way, and he felt very strong about it, if Rabbeinu Gershom or Ragoyla, all Ashkenazim accepted his authority, it's binding to all Ashkenazim. Sfardim, not binding to them. If one of the Chachmei Sfarad made a takana and all Chachmei and Yadu Sfarad accepted it,
Ben Ishai, for example.
binding to all of Sfarad. Ashkenaz, not binding to them. That's what the Rambam is saying. However, before that, if there was a Bezdin that made a takana, and that was a takana, and the Yidden accepted it, so then the whole Klal Yisrael is now obligated, until Mashiach Tzidkenu comes, is obligated to keep the halachas. The Pashut Pshat, if you read it, it sounds simple. In other words, it sounds very, very simple. Take out the Bezdin HaGodol problem, because that's without the Bezdin. It sounds very simple. Just like the Takonas Ezra, he made a takana. Came along a late Bezdin. They sent out a survey all over. People are not keeping it. I said, no. Didn't stick. They rescinded. They had the koyach, even though there was smaller Bezdin. It's not. It has to be that Klal Yisrael accepted it. Klal Yisrael doesn't accept a takana, then it doesn't stick. Now, the Rambam says that since the world has been fractured, and then the whole world is falling apart, and when in one part of the world they don't know what's going on in the other part of the world, till 50 years go by. So therefore, if a Bezdin makes the takana in this country, all the people in this country accept it, okay, so for this country it's chal, but for the other country it's not chal. Rebbeinu Gershon makes a takona, all the Ashkenaz accepted, great. Sfarad didn't hear of it, didn't accept it. Not chal on them. That's what it sounds like. So whenever I used to learn this Akdama, it always bothered me. And I always felt there's something else, the Rambam is saying something more than just this. Because if it was just, so based on this, so say today, when communications are better even than the Tana Shmas. We said in the Smana Shas, express mail, you got it in at least 29 days. Right? Today, you could 2 seconds. You could see what you could click. You could give a click, and the whole world could be connected.
If you stuck in regular mail, it'll probably get lost. You won't even get it out.
Exactly. So theoretically, if we make a bezin today, and they make a takona, and all Klal Yisrael in the whole world accept it, as an emphasis on the word theoretically. So. Poshet, if you read the Rambam, it sounds like, okay. Oh, the only problem was that after the Bashi, was it off Sagayoses, the world was falling apart, and no one knows on one end of the world what's going on in the other end of the world. So in this country, the Bezin makes a takon, everyone accepts it, so it's binding to all the people in this country. The other country didn't accept it, it's not binding to them. So Zman Hazeh, if we're going to have one Bezin, everyone will accept this Bezin. And they're going to make a takona, and everyone accepts it. It'll be binding to all Klal Yisrael. Does it make sense what I said till now?
The Rambam himself brings Gadlus B'minyan. There's other factors involved in a based in going.
The Rambam says a second basin can overturn. I'm not talking about overturning anything. Overturn the previous takana if they're bigger. B'chochmo b'minyan. I'm not talking about overturning anything.
Right.
I'm talking about establishing something new. I'm not talking about overturning. However, you see from the Rambam adds a whole thing. The Rambam says that Jews were spread over the entire world, and there was no communication. V'nisma Talmud Torah. ולא נכנסו ישרו ללמד בישוע וסיים על אופן מורבובס כמו שמקודם אלא מסקפצים יחידים מסרידים אשר שם קודם בחליל ודיבור חובדין ודינה. Why is that relevant? The bottom line is that there is no communication between Ashkenaz and Sfarad. People that are living in Ashkenaz don't know what's going on in Sfarad. The Sfarad don't know what's going on in Ashkenaz. There's Gayosis. It's very hard to cross the Pyrenees and stay alive. And therefore, when the Bezin here makes a takana, these people hear of it, and the other ones don't, and vice versa. Why is Rambam going into the whole thing to say that now that there's so much Mocham in the world, there's not anymore that there's thousands and tens of thousands that come together and are hodaving in Torah together? So Zokt Rabbi Weinberg Gemara de Gevort. He says that it sounds like from the Rambam that there's two conditions here. There's two issues that happened after the world started falling apart, when the Roman Empire is falling apart, which is after Chasimas HaTalmud. It sounds like two things happen. One is there's no communications. So the Rebbeinu Gershon makes a takana, the people in Sfarad, they never got the memo. Number two is another issue. We know that there is 48 ways that Torah is niknas behem. That's what the Chazal tell us in the Perek 6 and Pirkei Avos. Pilpulat Talmidim. When the Chachamim get together, Talmud Echad is like the Gemara says in Kiddushin, Mechaded es chaveda, like two knives that sharpen each other. You sit in your house, you learn. Yeah, you can sit with very nice. You sit with a yeshiva art scroll with a masifta. It's very sweet.
Cold Coke.
Yeah. But that doesn't come to sitting in a beis medrash with a chavrusa, and all of a sudden there is no tzachar of a beis medrash. The walls are shaking, and that's it. It's a different thing. I had a chavrusa. We were together probably chavrusa almost 10 years. I went shlichus in Melbourne. So I used to think, who needs shluchim now? That the world is, Torah is over the whole world. But after a while, it was like there was something that the younger Bach in Yeshiva by lunch said, "You don't understand, you guys. You sit down, and you guys are at each other's throat. All you're doing is yelling and screaming at each other. And by lunch, you're the best friends." So I realized that for it in Melbourne, they needed shluchim. This didn't arrive. So when there's alofim urevovos, thousands, tens of thousands of chachomim that get together, so they're sharpening each other. There's an incredible amount of sharpening that's going on. It's like today when you go to yeshivas, and there are big yeshivas, Baruch Hashem, and Torah is growing and growing, and there's chaburis, and they're learning the same sugyas, and then the tzvorim are coming out, and the people are writing, and people are upschlugging and writing, and upschlugging and writing, and saying, and what they call in yeshivas today, hacking, hacking and knocking. So it really, things get sharpened, very, very sharpened. If you think you have a good tzvorim, someone else is gonna, and then you sharpen it. The two knives sharpen each other. So what happened after the time of Rebashi? There was loy nichnasu. They didn't have that yeshiva. Limbad b'yeshiva, same alofim urevovos k'mei shemikoydim. It wasn't even today. Baruch Hashem, there's big yeshivas, but there's no yeshivas with tens of thousands. There isn't. There isn't such a thing. There's Baruch Hashem big yeshivas, but not tens of thousands. We're not holding it there yet. So he said that this was taka b'chochma. Taka, that there is Godel, that there is now the people that are learning on their own. It's yechidim asridim, mevinim b'chichurei chachomim kulam. They're not called matikei Torah anymore. They're understanding from the svarim, but they're not called matikei Torah because their level of chochma fell. So it's not only a technical issue that Klal Yisrael don't have communication over the world, but there's also that the Chachamim are nichnasu ba'alofim urevovos l'shir same. So based on this chidush,
Nitma'atu hador, it said. Every door, itma'atu hador. Less.
right? But why? So the Rambam says, why is it less? Because we're not having yeshivas today that have the alofim urevovos like in the day of Rebashi. So therefore, even today, it won't help that if you're going to have a bezdin and everyone will accept. That's not the issue. There's two issues. There's issue number one that we need, everyone gets the memo. That's not a problem today. We all get the memo. But number two, there has to be that the scholarship of the chachomim are in a high level. What, we give them an IQ test? No, it has to be that there's alofim urevovos get together. Alofim urevovos get together and they work together, sugya, then they sharpen each other. We don't have that today.
Ranovich Yeshiva doesn't have thousands.
Tens of thousands?
But they have a lot of thousands.
Lakewood has about 7.
I think that's the largest in the world.
We don't yet have a yeshiva that has one revov.
Soon.
Mitzvah Hashem. When we get there, we'll have to deal with them then. But now, I'm asking a shayla for now. If one bezin, we will all accept globally and we can all get the memo? No. Because in Rambam, really, it sounds like there's 2 points. There's 2 points. Now, after Ravashi, there wasn't communication. Problem number 1. The scholarship of Chachamim fell. Problem number 2. And they're all for the same reason. Because we're not, when Yidna Ba'achtas, we're learning tens of thousands. Even in Lakewood today, learning 7,000 Talmidim. They're not learning the same sugya.
You're talking about people learning the same sugya of 10,000.
In the time of Shas, and they would come together, and they were learning the same sugya.
And it's not only that, but even if you have a yeshiva of 10,000 people, but if the way that they're learning it is all fouled up.
What do you mean?
Not in the style of Rabbeinu Ravashi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're saying, if there was a yeshiva going on from the days of Ravina till today, so you could say that probably the Talmud learned from the Rav, and even though hundreds of years went, that the style didn't change. But now, even if you're going to have a rebbi revova get together, who says they're learning on that? If the chain had not been broken, we could assume that the Talmidim are learning like the Rav. Maybe they're a little slightly different, but b'chlolos on that's what you're saying. But Shanke now, even if you're for a yeshiva, they'll have like often revovos. Who says they're learning on that derech of Ravina Ravashi? Okay. So these are the 2 points that the Rambam is making. So therefore, let's continue 4 lines from the top. If the Geonim said that this is the derech hamishpat, and this bar lebezin achar shamad acharav shein the derech hamishpat. Later, Bezin decided that this is not the derech hamishpat. Hakosav b'Talmud. They didn't understand the Talmud right. Ein shemem larishin ela lamisha das noitel dvorim. We don't listen to the first. There's no authority here. You have to decide who's right. Bein rishin, bein achirim. All dvorim alolim b'diminim gezeres takonos von hakich chatch achir b'talmud. Aber kol dvorim shebetalmud habavli. Chayovim kol Yisrael lechzbam. Chayovim kol ir ve'ir v'chol medina medina le'nim chol hamen hagish shenog chach matalmud ligzer gzeros lechem tekenos her v'cholosim advorim shebetalmud skimlam kol Yisrael. Number one, all the Yidden accepted it. So once all the Yidden accepted it, that's it. It's there. Number two, oisim chacham sheskino shegozik shenigu v'shedonu din v'lomda shurshkachu hen kol chacham Yisrael l'rubim. They are the Chachma Yisrael. They have the authority. It's not only that the people accepted it, but the Chachamim that made the Takana have the authority. V'hem sheshama kabbalah bikra dos kula doir acher doir. Okay, you'll learn the rest of the Rambam inside.
The Talmud Bavli, a high portion of the time, isn't paskening with. It's mentioned in Talmud Bavli, but how we're going, so many times, maybe more. It's machlokes Rishonim, or the Rishonim agree.
Yep.
It's not the actual Talmud Bavli paskening which way the mishpat we're going on.
And then Shaykh to be machlokes. What if the Gemara says something
The Gemara
clearly?
says so. Something like that. Yeah.
Talmud Bavli, Bavel is Iraq.
Yeah.
That sounds like old Sfaradim. It was Sfarad.
Well, it was before there was a
why
divide.
the
Before it was division.
There was no Sfaradim and Ashkenazim.
No one was in.
So what's Taka? I mean, it's like a million times I've seen like something, but then I don't remember. What is Taka the date of this split, Sfaradim and Ashkenazim?
You say
Not negated to our shir tonight.
Okay.
Good question.
It's after the Go'onim, isn't
But
it? Towards the end of the Go'onim.
I just want to say
No, towards the end, much before.
parenthetically,
Even before?
here it says Talmud Bavli, you have to accept it. So it's there's a famous thing that the Ramban was in a debate with Mishumad.
They'll never return.
The famous debate.
Pablo Christiani, famous Mishumad, and they had a debate. And what happened is so they quoting Tanakh, and he's hitting back the guy, and they're even. So finally, the guy quotes a certain medrash that looks, like, it sounds like Nazareth or whatever. So the Rabban says, okay, so you brought a medrash, who cares? The guy says, what? Who cares? The king is there and all the guy. So he said, listen, you're a good Catholic, right? Let's say you go to church on Sunday, and the guy makes a drasha. And the way home you say, "Stick a felpin this drasha." So now you're not bekairis, okay? And so some people want to say, okay, he just said that to get rid of him. But the Chassam Sofer has a tshuva where he says it's real that the Ramban did it, and anything that's in the Gemara, you have to believe it, you have to accept it. If not, you're not
You're
a
quite
Jew. Yeah. But afterwards, what's after, he says, because they asked him about Shifrei Habesht.
No, what?
Shifrei Habesht.
Oh, the
Someone
stories.
wrote him a shala, so he says, oh, you want? And if not, just I get it. No, but I'm saying so. I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't remember exactly the whole thing, but I'm surprised that he didn't bring this rambam. I mean, he brought this.
Maybe he did. You don't look
I
again.
don't
Like,
remember.
true.
I'd have to look at
Before
it.
the Rambam wrote,
The Rambam says
This
it's
Akdama.
black and white.
Yeah.
Except all Shas
what
Bava.
the word after Rav Asher was, the word, they didn't know this Akdama. They cannot go through the Akdama because the Rambam wasn't there. It came much after that. And this distance, these years, how we can relate this to this?
Exactly. Not everyone necessarily agreed to till the Rambam, and even after the Rambam. I'm not sure the Goinim agreed to the Rambam. The Rambam says that the Goinim have very little authority. I'm not sure that the Goinim thought that they have very little authority.
No, they didn't. I know at least one specific case, and there are others also there, that I haven't actually investigated, but I know I'm aware of them. One of the Go'onim sent it to Shuvah, to Eretz Yisrael, about a certain issue. And he said in his teshuvah that according to Talmud Adidan, meaning Talmud Bavel, this particular thing is asur. But you in Eretz Israel, you have this minhag kaduma of Eretz Israel. You should continue following that minhag kaduma.
Where's this tshuva?
Huh?
Where's this tshuva?
I don't recall exactly, but I have a friend in Eretz Israel who can find it for me.
Okay.
But it's regarding the whole thing of what's today is called glot kosher, the sirkot.
Tzirchus.
Yeah, and also I once did this particular issue about the so-called Khatimat Talmud or whatever it is. It once bothered me very much, and I did a lot of research in it. And first of all, the Kesef Mishnah was also bothered by this. That the Rambam, it doesn't seem to make too much sense here, because even if something is accepted by all of Israel, who says that's the truth? And where do you get from the Torah even such a notion that something that's mishpashet b'chol Yisrael is binding on Kol Yisrael? Maybe it can change. Where do you get that notion from the Torah itself? And there are three sevarot rather that I did from relatively recent Rabbanim. One of them was Chanan Wasserman, and one of them was Chazon Ish, and the third one I don't remember. And each one said a different reason why, to answer the question, why we are chayav to accept the Talmud Bavli. And each one gave an answer that canceled out the other two. And the whole thing, and so immediately the whole thing problem was that they were starting off with an unwarranted assumption that you are chayav to accept the Talmud Bavli, and they were just asking why. Now the Kesef Mishnah, he also asks that the question, why are we chayav to accept Chazal? And he goes through a couple of possibilities, and in the end he simply says, V'yesh lomar shekol Yisrael kivlu etzeh. And in other words, there's no halachic reason why you have to accept it. It's just that all Jews did accept it.
Back to our thing. Bottom line is that Rambam holds, to summarize the Rambam here, that if all Klal Yisrael accept it, and the Chachamim who make this takona have this authority, that it becomes a binding that minig in takona Klal Yisrael. Turn the page quickly. Top line. When a person gives 5 sloim to the kohen, you give the kohen a kos of wine. Also, you bring a das, and then they make this following bracha. Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam kiddush ubar b'mei imoi u'arboim yom cholakei vorav Masayim v'arboim u'shmoinei vorim sheyesh boy. You never heard this bracha. We don't say it, but it almost sounds like the bracha by the bris. This pidyon of men. It sounds with the same. Shekidush, yeah. Yeah. L'arboim yom cholakei vorav Masayim v'arboim u'shmoinei vorim. Because that's when it's it's 40 days. We know if it's a boy or a girl. That's when they vote him. Sheish boy v'nafach by neshama k'deksiv v'yipach ba'apav nishmas chayim v'yadom nefesh chaya or the basa he'al bish b'atzamas v'gidim seichachai tziva or the basa tal b'shena v'atzamas v'gidim to seichena v'tziva loy maich l'mishta v'zimon l'shnei malachi asharetz l'shamri b'me'imei k'deksiv chayim v'chesed osisei modi uf'gedos chashamra ruchi avi v'aymer ze b'ni b'choir V'im emer ze b'ni b'choir shebay posach k'shborach daltze bitni chama shlem nischaven a little kem p'dyonik tziv p'div men chodesh tiv de vek chamishim chameshes kesef chameshes kolam b'shekel kodesh esem gerim hu ksiv ach poda tivte es b'choir adam es b'choir b'im atmei tivde. This is all part of the bracha. It's one of the longest brachas you've ever seen. Kashem shezocha b'choir ze lepidyon kach yizakeu akeil l'toira l'chupa l'maisim toivim Baruch atah Hashem mekadosh b'chol Yisrael lepidyonon. That's the bracha. Mavarech hakohen asaben, machzir lo v'imay, v'chiparik iul nafshe mavarech al pidyon b'chol. Because of the name of Oshzal, v'lenogu ba'ashkenaz b'tzaref shevarech hakohen bracha zo. The Rosh said that there is no minig to make this bracha. Shalom mitzinu shemavarchinu shum bracha. שלא הוזכר במשנה בתוספתא בגמרא.
We said, זה בנך בחורך, the Kohen asked her.
This is all part of the bracha.
Yeah,
The bracha, that's all a part of it. He says, no, in Ashkenaz they don't make this bracha. שלא מצינו שמברכים שום ברכה שלא הוזכר במשנה בתוספתא בגמרא.
What about Beis Yosef?
Wait a minute. Let's finish this reading. שלא מצינו שמברכים שום ברכה שלא הוזכר במשנה בתוספתא בגמרא. We don't make brachas that are not in the Shas. The Shas doesn't say it, we don't say it. כך חסיד רב אשי ורבינו לא נסחט ששום bracha. Because after Rav Ashi and Ravina, there is no such a thing as a bracha. The Oidi says, "Lo mi yivorach hakoyin ve'ena yoyz shum mitzvah, el makabel matonas kohuna v'tchilas." He says, "Why did the kohen make the bracha? He didn't know the mitzvah. The father did the mitzvah." V'tchilas habracha koshel yesh kiddush ober b'meime ikiddush zabcher tol v'pet rechem tol rachmona. This child is not sanctified in the mother's womb at all, and only after it comes out, because if it's a Syrian, then the baby is not a b'chor. So look in the Bach. Just get off a little on top, but it's interesting. The Bach, skip the first 3 lines. The last few words he just quoting over there. Needed vada da kedusha sa uber. I feel like ain't a b'chor come. He's not talking about the kedusha of a b'chor. Shekitche little moed kol Torah kula b'meime v'neir dolo kol roish k'disam pereng matvelas. Kitche b'meime doesn't mean the b'chor was Kaddish. Every Jewish child is Kaddish. Because the Malachim learn with him Torah, 2 Malachim, look at the small lines. Venira, Shmira Zu, he Shalei Konat Yetzahara Be'uber. Why do we need 2 Malachim to guard the baby? The Yetzahara shouldn't go in. By the B'meimek, the Shetis Atzim, HaTorah VaMitzvah Beliboy Begufay, Bakol Ramache Vorim. Ki came Malamdino Esa Kol HaTorah B'meimek, the Kedushas HaTorah VaMitzvahs Din Kedim Ala Yetzahara. So the kedusha of Torah mitzvah should become one with the child. Should ainly tzara nichnas belibel mishoshin in alot slaver oilam k'mush dosho min neurav yetzer leva adam ram neurav ksiv b'shoshin in alot zel pesach atzas roivitz. It's all this week's parsha. The lifter they'll say bitne isha yetzara roivitz likonas badam mishoshin in alot v'zeh shem nemois shnei malach yeshos likonas yetzara boyd v'meime kedego ksiv zuru. So interesting. He does it justify and explain the bracha. So good. So you see here that so within the Rosh Memes there's a whole shaklavataria, because here the Rosh says it's not a bracha in the Shas. We're not going to say it. But he does bring, even though the Gohanim are the ones that made this bracha. And he brings it. So like the Meforshim ask, why is it here? Then the Gohanim made a bracha for Pinyan Ben. He says, sorry sir, I didn't find it in the Mishnah, the Tosefta, and the Gemara. That's it. You can't make a bracha. And how nice enough kirch we do. And that Rabbi Amram Goren said about Krishma, Shalamitu, we make a Sheket Shalom Zazmanu. And he argues for other reasons, but he doesn't argue the fact that it's after the time of the Shas you can't make a bracha. So there's all kinds of answers. But I want to now look at the Alter Rebbe, what the Alter Rebbe says. Look in Halacha Vav and Simon Vav. B'medina se'elu noegim levarech ha'noisen la'yoev koyach. V'teknu ha'go'onim ache chasimus ha'talmud. This bracha was made by the Gohanim after the Talmud. Because people got weaker. What does it mean? The Medrash says, what does it mean? Chadoshim labkorim rabba munasecha. Boss of Adam mafket because it's chaveru who machzir bolay mekulkol v'chol adam mafket neshmases lakadosh baruch hu leiser vayefa who machzir loy chadosher gua. That the Eibushter, we give him our neshama at night. When we go to sleep, he returns it to us in the morning, nice and rested. So therefore, that in the morning we wake up nice and rested. There are those that say, no, we can't say it. The Beis Yosef says, don't say this bracha. Ache Chasimus Talmud. After the Talmud was sealed, no one has the right to make any brach. Ve'ein baze kedai litchas haminek v'takonas hagoyim. This taina does not kedai to push away number one the minig and number two takonas hagoyim. But says the Alter Rebbe, bracha shaloi tiknu hagoyim. If there's a bracha that the goyim did not establish, it came after the goyim. Oy shaloi nispashta takonosam v'loi noagu bu roiv hatzibur. Or the takona was not spread in roiv hatzibur. Everyone will agree that you should not say it. Therefore, because that's I remember my grandma used to have a tchinas booklet, and I always used to, my mother was a Pashta Yidden. I grew up in the shtetl, Taka Mesinas Nefesh, and that tchinas, apparently, there was Isidore Starr and his wife were on the Titanic.
Strauss.
Yeah, Isidore Strauss.
Yeah.
And his wife.
I've seen that. People published like
early 19. And I was thinking to myself, little does my bubba know, wer given Isidore Starr, Isidore Strauss.
A&S departments.
And nicht given the Chernobyl's Rebbe's brother-in-law.
Yeah, he was about Stalker.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I don't know if he was observant.
The Mishpacha gave money to the Tchinas printers, or the Tchina printers thought that they'll get some money from the Mishpacha, from Mishpacha Strauss, so they gave echt a Tchina. So I'm just, most of you here don't know what Tchinas are. I'm telling you that the Bobbies, they used to read in Yiddish a whole Tchinas. So the printers, there was a whole business that Bobbies used to love to read the Tchinas in Yiddish. So the Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to write, and that you can make Tchinas for Isidore Strauss, Gesundheit, but you can't write Baruch Atah Hashem. You can write Heilige Tat and Himmel, whatever you want to write. But you can't write Baruch Atah Hashem. There used to be those, they made their brachas. We don't have the right to make brachas. But if you look at the Alter Rebbe's Loshen, the Alter Rebbe says two things. We gotta go back. You can't, if this is number one a minik plus number two takonas hagoyim, then you have to keep it. Avol bracha shaloi tiknu hagoyim. Oi! Shaloi nispashet takonosam v'loi nagu b'revitzinu. Either or. If it's a takona that wasn't made by takona, but a later generation, or the Goyim did make it, but it wasn't spread in the whole Klal Yisrael, everyone agrees not to say it. Two nekudas. In other words, if you have the Goyim plus all of Klal Yisrael accepted it, then you should say the brach. If, however, the Goyim made it, but not everyone accepted it, or everyone accepted it, but not the Goyim made it, then not. What is Alter Rebbe saying? So let's go back to the Akdamas Rambam. There's two tenoim over here in making a takona for Klal Yisrael. The scholarship and the authority of the Chazal, of the Chachamim, who make the takona, and number two, the acceptance of Klal Yisrael. If you have both conditions, you're great. Now, the Goyim, do they go into that Klal? So it seems like if it's already a minig that everyone is saying it, only the Geoinim, not later generations, that we extend it also for the Geoinim. The Rambam Taka doesn't bring this bracha Nezim Lev Koyach. But the Alter Rebbe Paskins seem similar to the Rosh, that there is a little bit after the Chasimas Talmud, there was some type of authority. To who? Not to the Shonim. To the Geoinim, A. B, if it was accepted by all Klal Yisrael. So therefore, Anois and Layof Koyach, which was made A by the Geoinim, B, all Klal Yisrael accepted it, you should say the bracha. But the bracha for Pidyon Haben, as you know yourself, we don't say it. The bracha.
Klal Yisrael did not accept it.
Most of the Durim I've seen have the bracha, Anois and Koyach.
The Gra did not say it.
He's not Roiv of Klal Yisrael. The Gra is not Roiv of Klal Yisrael.
No, but You said all of Klal Yisrael.
I didn't say all. Roiv.
Oh,
Roiv of Klal Yisrael. That's why a nice and of Koyach, the Alter Rebbe holds you should say, because A, Roiv Tzibur accepted it, and B, there was forth from the Geoinim. Mashenke in the Brocha Pidyon Ben, or the Brocha Reb Amram Goyen for Krishma. Reb Amram Goyen is very big, but Klal Yisrael didn't accept it. For Pidyon Ben, the Goyenim are very big, but the Oilam didn't accept it. Reich Tov Bapas is another issue. It wasn't even mentioned by the Geonim. It wasn't that Avud Raham mentions it, but it's not even mentioned by the Geonim. Then there it brings us to a fifth issue, which is Shas the Bracha Shaloi Sani Isha. The Torah says that the women say Shasani Kiretzoinoi. Why? Don't tell the women the pshat of Shasani Kiretzoinoi. The Torah says because they were Makabal Aleim Asadin. It's a lotion of Tziduk Adin. Even though it would have been better to be a man of Mechayiv and Mitzvahs, a Metzadik Aleim Asadin. I don't think in the Beis Yaakovs they explain to the girl the pshat over here. They give them an opposite pshat from the emes, but that's not a good thing. You should tell the pshat the way it is, and then work with it. Anyway, the bottom line is that Alter Rebbe in the Siddur took out Shasani Kiretzoinoi. Why? So I would say, Poshet. Yes, it's Taka Minig. Maybe even Roy Vatzibur says it. But this was not a minig established, not in the Talmud, and not by the Geonim. So the formula in the Alter Rebbe is...
Wait, so who made it?
Who made it? Nohagu Hanoshim, the Torah says in Silam Membo. Nohagu Hanoshim. It's not mentioned in the Talmud, and it's not mentioned in the Geonim. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe holds that there's two things. As I said, I think it's working off the Rambam, but different than the Rambam. The Rambam holds that after the Talmud, I don't want to hear anything after the Talmud. But the Alter Rebbe holds, similar to these two Nekudas, the authority of the Chachamim, that caliber of Chachamim, plus the Kol or Roi Vatzibur accepted. But the Alter Rebbe says also the Geonim, if there was the Tekonos Geonim plus Roi Vatzibur accepted it, therefore it shall be done. So therefore, by the Bracha Noisloiv Koyach, the Alter Rebbe accepted it. Because it's A, the Geonim, and B, Kol Yisrael accepted it. Mashenkin Abamram's Bracha for Krishma Pidyon Ben, Geonim made it, but Rav Yisrael didn't accept it. Reich Tov Bapas, Shasana Kiretzoyne, Shasana Kiretzoyne, maybe Rav Noshim do it, but it's not mentioned by the Geonim of the Talmud, therefore the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it. So therefore, now we understand what the Alter Rebbe is saying. The Alter Rebbe is saying not the word because it was Niglata Rizal, very nice, the Alter Rebbe wrote a Siddur, based on the Kabbalah, but not the Shulchan Aruch, and not the word of the Bach because maybe there was another Girs in the Talmud, and not the word of the Taz. Alter Rebbe has his own pshat that the reason why we say Nois Loiv Koyach is because there's two things. The Geonim had a certain Koyach, plus all Klal Yisrael accepted them, and as I think this is working off the Akdamas Rambam, that there's a certain level of scholarship that happened Dafke to Chachmei Hashas. And the Alter Rebbe Nemton, that also the Geonim had a certain, because as you know, the Geonim fought from all of Klal Yisrael. There was till the end of the Geonim, they were sending letters to all of Klal Yisrael to the yeshivas in Bavel. Only afterwards there was a story of the four captives, Rabbi Choshiel and Rabbi Moshe, and then Rabbi Yochanan. They went to but the days of the Geonim, even though there wasn't alofim or ruvavas, but lepoil from the whole world, they were sending letters to the Geonim. So all the Veltz Kashas came to the Geonim. So therefore the Alter Rebbe holds that Dafka, when it comes to Geonim, plus if Klal Yisrael accepted it, therefore it becomes binding to Klal Yisrael.
Saying,
No, Chabad women don't say it. No,
they
don't say it.
No, but at least from what we learned here, you see that the Rosh and the Rambam were, you know what I mean? Not so much with the
to summarize what we had here, the Rambam, the Geonim had zero authority. Right. To others, the Geonim did have authority because they brought the Bracha Neslan of Koyach.
I mean, like the Torah. So
the Torah brings the Bracha. The Torah does bring the Bracha Neslan of Koyach.
Farther than
that's how I'm explaining that. The thing in